G'day and welcome to another episode of Seeing Red. More than 11,000 people receiving Centrelink benefits have received debt letters worth a total of $32 million. The government's claiming that they were overpaid due to Jobkeeper. Now the government's insisting that this money be repaid or the debts will turn into legal proceeding. However, the government won't be insisting that companies that were also overpaid the Jobkeeper subsidy to the tune of $13 billion won't be required to repay it all. Josh Frydenberg has come out in defence of these companies and said the following.
Why wasn't there a clawback provision like there are, as you point out, for individual welfare recipients?
Well, if you go back to the mindset of businesses back then, when there was thousands of people lining up outside Centrelink, if they were going to have to pay back that money, then they wouldn't have necessarily taken it in the first place.
Say what now, Frydenberg?
If they were going to have to pay back that money, then they wouldn't have necessarily taken it in the first place.
It appears what Josh is trying to say is that they never expected these companies to repay the money regardless of whether they turned a profit or not. Yet when it came to the Australian people, his tune was slightly different.
In the case of Services Australia, it's a fundamental principle of our welfare system that somebody who receives welfare has to disclose their other assessable income, in this case, Jobkeeper.
So the key takeaway from this is that it's okay for big companies to rort the system, but not for the guy at home who's just trying to make ends meet. Now, companies such as Harvey Norman, whose profits over the COVID period were up by a massive 60+%, received $22 million in support via JobSeeker. Now, Gerry Harvey, who up until recently had been refusing to repay the money, has finally buckled under pressure and repaid $6 million of the $22 million that he received. Now, that still left $16 million in profit for the end-of-year bonanza for each of the shareholders from Harvey Norman, receiving an extra 15 cents per share for their trouble. This equated to Gerry taking home roughly $70+ million. Though Gerry had not been alone in this rort, with many companies lining up for their slice of the pie of the $13 billion in free money. Now, as Andrew Lay highlighted as far back as last August, these companies were paying massive executive bonuses and had received millions in Jobkeeper subsidies.
Recessions hit the poor hardest, which is why Australia followed many countries around the world in implementing a wage subsidy scheme. But a scheme designed to reduce inequality is being misused by a small number of firms who are channeling it to executive bonuses. Accent Group received $13 million in Jobkeeper and gave CEO Daniel Agostinelli a $1.2 million bonus. IDP Education received $4 million in Jobkeeper and gave CEO Andrew Barkla a $600,000 bonus. Last year, he was Australia's highest paid CEO, taking home $37 million.
That's right, you're not hearing things. $37 million. That's $5 million more than all those Centrelink debts combined. What the fuck has this country come to? The Aussie battlers are chased to the ends of the earth to have their debts repaid, while these companies just keep getting away with more and more. If this doesn't make you see red, I don't know what will. Like and subscribe. See red.